Welcome to the Launch to Impact Leadership podcast. My name is Dr. Keena, a leadership development coach, author, and former nonprofit administrator. I teach emerging leaders how to master the skills needed to effectively engage their staff, strengthen teams, accelerate performance, and position themselves for long-term success. Now, before we get started, be sure to tap that follow button right now because practical leadership insights are waiting for you in every episode. Victor Hugo is quoted with saying, "Perseverance is the secret of all triumphs." And I've been sharing with you that I believe that the next generation of leaders will stand out due to their resilience, perseverance, emotional intelligence, ingenuity, and social influence. And today we are going to focus on perseverance. Now, let's make sure we understand that perseverance isn't about pushing harder. It's staying aligned with your mission, with your assignment, with your project, long after the excitement is gone. That's what we're talking about when we say perseverance, is staying the course. And society is getting hooked on feeling good and getting consistent rewards all the time. But to be quite honest, that just isn't realistic. Normal is just that. It's normal. Persistence is defined as sustained effort and follow through over time, especially when progress is slow. And the distinction between perseverance and resilience, which we talked about in our last episode, perseverance is about having directional stamina. It's the keep showing up piece of it all. It's moving forward. I recently read an article and a psychologist was quoted with saying that it's important that we learn how to be comfortable with uncomfortable feelings, that we have to learn how to stop turning to something pleasurable to distract from difficult emotions or thoughts. And I thought, you know what? That really lines up with this idea of us having perseverance in leadership, because so often we want to make sure that we're feeling good and we are getting the things that we want. But the reality is a lot of times we're not going to feel good. And a lot of times things aren't going to go our way, but we have to keep moving towards the target. We have to stay the course. And most leadership goals are really long-term outcomes. Things like culture and trust and strategy and developing others, serving clients. Those are long-term things, and we're not going to get those feel-good charges and emotions that we want on a regular and consistent basis. So we have to figure out, how do we keep showing up in spite of? How do we show up when it doesn't always feel good? Perseverance is what makes you keep the standards consistent. It's what helps you to follow through when feedback is mixed. So sometimes you get good feedback, sometimes you get not so good feedback, sometimes you get critical feedback, right? But perseverance is going to help you to follow through when that happens. Perseverance helps you to maintain performance when nothing is exciting and the most mundane activity is happening. And really, as I said earlier, most of life is just normal. And we are often chasing the rush, the high, the adrenaline of crisis or victory, because they both come with their own set of adrenaline rushes. But chasing that on a regular basis, on an ongoing basis, is not healthy for us. And what we have to understand and get comfortable with is the majority of that continuum between crisis and victory is just normal. It's just regular stuff. And that is why it's so important for us to understand that the next generation of leaders will stand out due to their resilience, their perseverance, emotional intelligence, ingenuity, and social influence, because perseverance is necessary. Perseverance needs resilience because that's what helps you to recover from setbacks and keep continuing and keep moving forward. Perseverance needs adaptability because that's what helps you to keep the goal but change the method. And sometimes the method that we are using isn't going to help us to get to the goal. So instead of just quitting, we just make the adjustments. We make the adaptations. We make the pivots that are necessary. Perseverance helps us to focus on the ingenuity, and perseverance needs the ingenuity because sometimes you need a third, fourth, or fifth option when the first two or three didn't work, or when they're blocked, or when we hit those barriers or those walls or those challenges, right? Ingenuity is like, we need the plan. As I said in the last episode, we need the plan A through Z, because there's 100 different ways that we can do this. But if you see one way and one way only, or if you don't even know how to engage others so that you can get other perspectives, you won't be able to have ingenuity. Perseverance also needs emotional intelligence, because that's what's going to help you to manage the discouragement, to manage the impatience, and to manage your ego. It's not all about you. It's not always personal. It's not always even your job to have the answers. Sometimes you got to rely on a good team to give you those answers. Okay, put a pin in that for me real quick. Would you do me a favor and share a screenshot or post this episode on your social media accounts? And you know what? Go ahead and tag me too. I'd love to celebrate your leadership journey with you. So how do you build your perseverance? So let me give you a couple options here, a couple of strategies. You can make sure that you're not just scheduling the start of a project, but you are giving yourself not just the major completion deadline, because we're good at saying this is when we're going to start and this is when we're going to finish. But what we need is some benchmarks in between. So set those benchmarks, those markers in between, and that's going to help you to see the progress. That's going to help you to persevere. I also encourage some habit tracking, but give yourself a 2-day rule when you also are using this habit tracking. So habit tracking is looking to see how often you're doing things. Maybe it's how often you're checking emails. I don't know, how often you're meeting with staff, how often you are reviewing a particular document or files, or something that you need to do on a regular basis that you don't love doing is great for habit tracking. And when you habit track and you give yourself a 2-day rule, which says you're never going to miss a habit twice, it helps to protect that momentum. It also helps to build momentum. So you want to make sure that you're keeping up with something. And then you're going to give yourself some micro commitments. What can you do in 15 minutes that keeps you focused on the mission, that makes you feel like, oh, I've accomplished something? Like even that, for me, I love to check something off of my to-do list. There is just a little bit of a thrill of sense of accomplishment that comes with that. So what can you do in 15 minutes that keeps you moving forward and keeps that momentum going, that helps you to build that perseverance muscle? So I'm going to give you a challenge in case all of those strategies didn't work for you. Pick one leadership commitment that you have delayed and do the first unsexy step today. The unsexy part. And don't jump to the thing that you like doing. Don't go to the creative. Don't go to the fun. Do the part of it that you dread the most. And I'll leave you with this. When leading people, your follow through teaches them what matters. Thank you for listening to the Launch to Impact Leadership podcast. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Now, if you're ready for tools, coaching, or community to accelerate your success, visit www.launchtoimpact.org. My name is Dr. Keena, and until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building momentum.